On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Painkiller by Judas Priest.
Can use some painkillers right now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like talk about it. See, I don't
talk about it.
I don't have my headphones on. My security blanket has been removed.
I hear you.
This is weird. I don't like it.
You know, this was me like the last few mornings trying to read the news. I've developed this thing now where I can't look at words anymore. And so everything just comes out of my mouth, just as big.
You have late stage dyslexia and what would be the vocal term anaphasia.
Anaphasia,
yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, at one point, I heard myself start to openly weep while I was like the fifth time I was trying to read a news story. Like,
God, yeah. No, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's rough. But we're professional broadcasters. Is that where we were at before we started to talk about how bad we are at our jobs?
Yeah, but we talk good.
And we like metal and we like to talk about it.
We talk good about it.
We talk good. We talk real good. Today we're talking about Painkiller by Judas Priest, an album from 1990. Yes. And I didn't realize, like, I knew there was an album by Judas Priest called Painkiller. I didn't realize it came out in 1990. Really? Because obviously there's plenty of classic heavy metal bands that continued making classic heavy metal albums throughout their entire careers and up until this day, as Judas Priest has done. Sure. But for some reason, when you think about like their most classic albums, most of those came out in the early 80s. So you think about
late 70s,
or the late 70s. You think about
Screaming for Vengeance, or
if you think about Iron Maiden's most classic albums, those came out in the early 80s.
Right.
But this came out in 1990.
It did.
After the era of death metal had started. This was contemporary with death.
I bought this on CD, brand new, when it came out. And it even said AAD on it. Do you know what that stands for?
No.
It means it was recorded analog, it was mixed analog, and then converted to digital.
Yes. I see.
They for a while there, they were putting that on CDs so you understood what you were getting.
Because it was a special thing, perhaps. I think a lot of bands do that. Well, not a lot of bands, but there's a fair amount of bands that do that sort of thing now. I guess maybe they don't record analog. They record digital, but it's all on analog gear, microphones up to cabinets, then going into a computer versus a DI setup with a guitar where it goes directly into the computer instead of going through amps and microphones.
That's weird to me, going through the amp, unless you're going for that sort of sound, I guess. Yeah. But if you're going for a real good throaty beefy metal sound, I
don't think there's a lot of bands that record like I don't think there's a lot of big bands that do that.
Right.
I think that's what you do when you're starting out and you don't have any money for production and maybe you're not signed.
You go direct.
You record direct in because it'll sound good. It's just not going to sound warm or human or anything. Like people who are really into it will be like, this doesn't have certain qualities to it. Audio files are weird, and I mean that in the sense of a digital audio file and people who like audio.
People like to have sex with sound.
People who like to fuck sound waves. And no, I'm not talking about the transformer.
Right.
Which I think is usually a satellite or something.
Is he when he's in Robot?
I think Soundwave is usually like a satellite or something.
Well, who's the boombox?
No, you're right. That's Soundwave. Okay. Soundwave was a boombox. Right. But in one of the Michael Bay movies, he was a satellite, which probably is what confused me there. But I think usually Soundwave was a boombox, which is a weird thing to be when you are a Decepticon that is meant to like
right
be a bad guy. What are you gonna fucking do as a boombox? like what? At the very least, if you transform into a tank or a car or something, you're moving around. You can do some damage while you're in disguise. What the fuck do you do as a boombox? Nothing.
I don't know. Everybody change back into the other form and let's get out of here.
Soundwave just drops onto the ground. Optimus Prime steps on him. Also, does that mean Soundwave was really small? Or what, did he turn into a really, really big boombox?
Which would be more conspicuous than a giant robot.
Yeah, exactly. People would see a giant boombox next to the giant robot and be like, what the fuck is that boombox doing?
Is that the robot's boombox? Is that his ghetto blaster, as we used to say?
I didn't know Transformers had boomboxes like that.
Man, is he going to break dance? Is he going to put a big sheet of cardboard down there?
There's already cardboard on the ground.
This is going to be awesome. Boop, 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 boop.
That's just the that's part of the setup of the Jackbox game Madverse City.
Sure.
In one of the party packs, your giant robots that are having a rap battle.
Is it really a thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's one of their party games. Like there's the Jackbox Party Pack games. Mm-hmm. Each of them comes with like 5 mini games in them. They're a lot of fun. I like playing all of them. Because especially if you're playing with, certain people, it's kind of like apples to apples in the sense that like apples to apples is an innocent game. Sure. And then you've got the adult version, which is, of course, Cards Against Humanity.
Yes.
But if you're playing with the right crowd, apples to apples can be just as nasty.
It's all about context.
It's all about context and insinuation.
That would be a fun ass game. If you take an apples to apples set and you take a Cards Against Humanity
and mix them up. Just throw them all together and see what happens. That would be pretty good.
That would be.
I'd like to do that. That would be fun.
I would play that game.
I was telling you about I've been playing Subnautica Below Zero, which I have not yet found to be nearly as scary as the original Subnautica, which I found terrifying when I first started playing it because I do not like the ocean.
Right, or deep water at all. Really.
Or deep water. And so far, Below Zero is it's not scary, generally speaking. I've had one like close call with a big predator. But other than that, it hasn't been so scary so far. I'm not very far into it, though, and I haven't gotten into any like really deep waters, mostly because I don't have a sub yet. I'm swimming around on my own, so I don't have a submarine yet. And I know you're hungry. You're always hungry.
Oh man, yeah, meatball sub right now.
Yeah, great. Of course. I
think the problem, now that I'm thinking about it, the problem I had with the first game is that I'm not the type to sit and stare at a video game for 10, 15 hours a shot. And you kind of have to be patient and sit and do the thing without stopping.
You're kind of always Subnautica, especially in the first 10 hours of it.
Yeah.
You are always doing shit. Like there's not really much downtime. You kind of always have to be managing stuff, which is a bit tedious. I don't mind it so much. It feels like maybe it's not quite, the grind isn't quite as bad in Below Zero. I feel like food lasts a fair bit longer than I felt like it did in the first game.
Sure.
But like you're constantly having to go out and finding materials to build the next thing. And then you got to find materials to build the next thing. It just keeps building and building and building.
Yeah.
But once you get up to a certain point, then things kind of relax a little bit. Like once I got the big sub in the first game, and then got upgrades for it so I could go as deep as it could possibly go. I got in the diving suit and just like, okay, now this is strip mining simulator.
Sure.
I went around to every like biome I could and was just experimenting with how much shit can I fit inside this submarine. How many minerals are there on this map? And that's what I would do just to pass the time, is I would listen to podcasts.
Sure.
I was listening to like the Boogie Monster and stuff, and
which I've been listening to lately.
I sort of fell off a little bit with the Boogie Monster.
Really? Not
for any particular reason, just as it's a great podcast from Kyle Kinane and Dave Stone.
Right. Dave got his bike stolen, if you heard that or not.
I did not hear that. Yeah. But there are two comedians who are pretty funny guys and also love talking about food and also like talking about ghosts and aliens and stuff.
Yes, and sometimes they get around to talking about ghosts.
Yeah, occasionally. It's this podcast, but instead of about metal, it's about paranormal stuff.
Uh-huh.
I think we sort of operate on that formula unconsciously. It's just we're not as nearly as funny as those two are.
No, we're not. Yes.
We're not as funny or as interesting. Something interesting that did happen to me, though.
Okay.
Maybe it's not interesting, but I went kayaking this weekend.
Nice.
I went down to my parents' place on Sunday because it was my dad's birthday. And we're also, kind of a delayed celebration of Mother's Day as well. So I bought my mom some flowers and I bought my dad a Shields gift card and I went down and dropped them off. But I didn't drop off the Shields gift card right when I got there because it was early in the morning. I was like, I'm not going to give him his present now. Okay. I put it in my Camelback. And then I went and loaded my kayak up onto my car and went out to the wildlife management area for Painted Woods Creek, a few miles south of Washburn. And got everything off the kayak, set the kayak down in the reeds, sort of along the shore, nose facing the water. I got in, got the splash skirt and got it situated. I sat down. It's like, okay, I'm going to scoot into the water. Going to be super easy. I've seen people do this a billion times. How hard can it be? I tipped over immediately.
Oh, no.
Immediately. Like 50 pounds of water in the kayak. This is nasty ass, just fetid.
Sure.
Just slow moving creek water.
Stagnant.
Just stanky water that I've been in many times before because my dad and I would
retrieve golf balls.
Yeah, we would retrieve golf balls from that same creek and sell them back to the golf course. But I was not planning on being in that water that day specifically. Although I did bring a change of clothes.
That's good.
Just in case. I always do that.
Showed up at your mom and dad's house naked for some reason.
It took me like 10 minutes to get the kayak out of. I turned it over on the water again.
Yeah.
To sit the cockpit down because that was the only possible way that with my strength level, I could lift it. I would ever get the water out of the cockpit.
And you did.
Yeah. I had to turn it over and then lift it up while it was still in the water and sort of break the seal that it had formed. And then I pulled it up onto shore and dried myself off a little bit and changed my socks because I was also wearing waders.
Sure.
And those filled with water.
Fun.
Put all that shit back in the car and got back in the kayak.
You were done now?
No, I was not done. I got back in the kayak.
Good.
And paddled around for a little bit. I tried there's a big bend on the southwest side of the highway. There's a big open bend of water.
Sure.
They call it Painted Woods Lake. It's a very large pond. But by the time I got out to that area, it was too windy. It was blowing the wrong direction because it was at my back on what would be the way out.
Sure.
Which I didn't want to paddle with the wind at my back for several miles and then have to turn around and paddle with the wind blowing in my face.
Right, the last leg of the journey.
Those several miles again. So I didn't want to do that. That did not seem like fun. So I turned around and there was a specific goose that was being a real fucking asshole. I mean,
they do that.
Canadian geese are always assholes.
Right.
They're the least polite Canadian thing. But so on the way out towards that lake, I was paddling behind, and there was a mother goose,
right,
little goslings, and then there was another goose that was just hanging out with this goose. And the mother goose got up on the shore with the goslings. Goslings followed her. She goes into the reeds. This other goose, who was, playing sentry, basically, was looking at me and honking, and, the honking would get more and more intense the closer I got. Just refused to get out of the water and get out of the way. It's like you see this big, huge, brightly colored thing moving towards you. And instead of going like, oh, maybe I'll get out of the water and get out of the way. No, I'm just going to keep on paddling in front of it and honking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And like on the way back, it felt like for several hundred yards, it was just staying in front of me. And it's just like, motherfucker, just get out. Just get out. And then it did get on the shore and continued walking along, just honking at me. It's like, motherfucker, you don't come over here. I got a big wooden thing. I will beat your ass. I don't want to fucking kill a goose today.
Be there when I get out of the water, motherfucker. Be there.
Break your fucking neck. I have a big wooden blade shaped thing. The goose probably would have kicked my ass, but
sure.
But it's just like I had my paddle. I was just, don't you fucking try it. Don't you fucking try it, you little bitch. I fucking hate geese. I hate them so much.
You ever eaten geese?
I've never had goose. Well, I feel like Canadian goose is probably a little gamey.
It's gamey and a little bit greasy.
Domestic goose is probably a bit better.
Yeah.
Probably. I've never gone goose hunting.
Me neither.
It was always for my dad and I for fowl hunting. It was always pheasants. It was never geese. I think partially because neither of us really have the patience to sit and wait for hours.
Sure. I mean, any of the goose I've ever eaten was just accident. Yeah.
Roadkill
geese.
Geese.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why it wasn't super good.
Sure. Maybe if I'd have taken it home first, I've been.
Yeah. If you hadn't ate it raw on the side of the highway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like a post-apocalyptic cannibal. Zombie or something. But I had kind of a stupid morning this morning.
Did you? So did I.
So before we ended up getting swamped with work, I turn on the computer and go to start recording and notice that my first hour is like 4 minutes overtime before I started doing anything. What the fuck is going on here? And I look, every hour is overtime. None of the music is sorted. It's like, motherfucker. So what happened?
Yeah.
So yesterday, our boss texts me and one of the other guys and asks us to schedule the both the stations, the music a couple days ahead of time.
Yeah. And you did the music for tomorrow.
I did the music for Friday.
Oh.
Because what G-Selector, our system, does when you open up the log editor is it takes you to whatever the last scheduled day is. That's only ever a problem for me normally on Fridays, and the last scheduled day is Monday, which I need to do anyway.
But you got to do Saturday and Sunday as well.
Yeah, but like generally it's not too much of a problem. But yesterday I did all the music logs for Friday.
Well, sweet, you'll be ahead tomorrow.
I won't though because I'll still have to retime it because Friday doesn't have spots loaded.
Sure.
So I had to I had to do for the first time the logs for today in a hurry at 9:10 this morning.
Oh, man.
And that was just a stupid way to start the day. I just didn't care for that. But that was a silly time. You bought a car. I did. You were attempting to buy a car.
I did. I actually signed a purchase agreement. I have financing ready to go, and they're dealing with the dealership, and all is happening. And all this will be finalized tomorrow. I'm stressed out about it.
Yeah?
I don't want. I mean, it's a great car.
What kind of car is it?
It's a 2016 Ford Fusion.
Fusion. Okay.
A Ford Fusion. It's great.
Fusion.
A Fusion. It's the nicest car I've ever owned.
There you go. You're upgrading.
I am upgrading, but now I'm going to have this
6
car
years
payment.
newer than my car.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, it would be actually 10 years newer than my car.
My car,
totaled car.
What's your wreckage of a vehicle?
Yes. Yes. And they're going to give me $4,700 for my wrecked car because we had full coverage on it.
Nice.
It's going to be nice. And I'm not going to put that down toward the car.
Okay.
Because I got 1.9% on the car loan. And then I got on a couple of credit cards I have 16%. So I'm going to take that money and pay those assholes.
There you go.
Those usurers.
Those sharks.
Those charlatans. Yeah.
Those dickheads. Those fuck boys.
Yeah. One of them is a card that is tied in with the richest dude on the planet.
Jeff Bezos?
Yeah.
How is it? Is it like an Amazon credit card?
It's an Amazon
I didn't
credit
realize there were Amazon credit cards.
Oh, yeah, there's Amazon everything.
I
think you can get Amazon whores if you go through the right channels. I want some Amazon whores and crack cocaine. Well,
here's your Amazon. Well, we sell those on via Amazon Basics. Yeah. We found a successful product being manufactured by a small startup and completely copied it and stole their market share.
Right.
Because that's how we do things.
Can I just go pick that up at Whole Foods then?
No. You can only buy it at Amazon branded crack houses.
Ah, damn it. Well, Whole Foods is owned by Amazon.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Everything's it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
It is.
I need to use it less.
Amazon?
I ought to use it less.
We all ought to. I mean, yeah.
I think it was Kyle Kinane actually that pointed something out, which is Amazon is a great search engine for things that you can buy. And then what you can do is look at who makes that thing
and then go to them and
buy it from their online store instead.
Mm-hmm. I've done that plenty of times.
I have as well. But I need to remember to do it more. But I think that's a better, somewhat better way of doing things. It's telling enough that mild spoilers, I guess, if you're interested in this, the second season of Dimension 20's The Unsleeping City, the big enemy like faction is Amazon.
Sure.
Is not literally Amazon, but it is it's absolutely meant to be an Amazon simulacrum that's being secretly being controlled by a force of entropy, essentially. But that's also a really good season of D&D.
I really need to watch more of that stuff. I mean, everything I've seen is great.
I think all of Fantasy High Season 1's on YouTube if you can withstand the constant blaring of censors.
Really?
Yeah, they censored it for YouTube because YouTube doesn't like you saying fuck anymore. And
people do all the time.
Well, it sort of depends on what your channel setup is. If you rely primarily, if you want to squeeze every cent out of your ad revenue on YouTube,
they're going to blur
then you kind of have to censor yourself.
Sure.
And if you're powered by Patreon or whatever, then
who gives a fuck?
Who cares? Go ahead and swear to your heart's content. But so the YouTube version is censored, and since it's a bunch of College Humor actors, there's a lot of swearing that has to end up censored, and so it gets really, 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 really annoying. I think there's a couple other Dimension 20 things that are fully on YouTube. I think. I
mean, can you just sign up for Dimension 20 or whatever?
Well, there's Dropout. You can subscribe to Dropout.
Yeah, that's it.
That has all the stuff on there. They're doing
a good friend of mine who unsubscribed from everything but Dropout.
Yeah. They're doing a really good miniseries right now called Of Mice and Murder. Not Of Mice and Murder, just Mice and Murder, which is basically think of like The Great Mouse Detective. Well, it's literally it's Sherlock Holmes, but they're all little animals.
Sure.
Secret of Nim or any of those other things combined with.
I forgot what NIM stands for.
I don't remember either, but
it's a test facility.
Yeah, it's that combined with Sherlock Holmes, and so they're all playing sort of versions of characters you'd find in a Sherlock Holmes story. And you've got Grant O'Brien, who's playing the Sherlock Holmes analog, and he's fucking crushing it. It's like he's like one of the few. There's one of them where like he got a nat 20 on an investigation roll.
Yeah.
And then before Brennan even told him what the clue was, he figured it out on his own. It was amazing.
Nice.
Like he's fucking killing it. And he's had like an amazing. Grant is kind of has a reputation in from College Humor fans of being kind of a scene stealer.
Yeah.
But this really works for him because he's playing a Sherlock Holmes type. That's a very Sherlock Holmes thing to do is to grandstand and do that. So it works very well for him. But I'm enjoying the hell out of that. Going to a wedding this weekend.
Nice.
In Fargo.
Who's getting married?
Jaron, the guy who used to do your job.
Really?
Your job
My
here?
job here.
Yeah, on this podcast that you get paid for. That we both get paid handsomely to do this podcast.
We do. I mean, it's
by ourselves.
It's upsetting how much money we get.
Exactly. It's really criminal. Biden's he's coming for us.
Sure.
He's gonna take so much of our money away from us. The president's on our tail.
Exactly.
Here. We got to watch out. Painkiller, Judas Priest. Fucking awesome
album. You're not wrong.
This is some really, really awesome shit.
You want to hear some good metal? Here you go.
Here's Judas Priest. It's one of those things where it's like if someone were to ask like, what is heavy metal? I would grab this album, hand it, and maybe, grab this album and Number of the Beast basically and be like, this is heavy metal. This is what it is. The sound of heavy metal exactly right here. And then you can branch out to other genres. But if you want to know what good, basic, just like the core, the platonic example of what heavy metal is.
Sure.
This is it.
This was actually the second new album I bought by Judas Priest in my life.
What was the other one?
Ram It Down, the album that came prior to this one, which I also loved that album. But I mean, it was I'd heard Judas Priest all my life.
Yeah.
Here or there on the radio, my mom covering my ears, whatever. And,
yeah.
Various other things.
Because breaking the law, that's a real, that's, real
satanic,
sort of, horrifying kind of song that we play on our radio station.
Sure.
That's perfectly fine.
I bought that album. I like that one as well. But this one I'm like, I like this one better even. And by this time I'd already started sort of going, I want a copy of British Steel. Ooh, Screaming for Vengeance. Ooh.
Also, I think the album art for this is really cool. It's the demonic looking motorcycle with the chop saw wheels on it and stuff. And that's fucking awesome. But like, I love, especially Screaming for Vengeance, the art style of that cover.
Fantastic.
Is so fucking awesome. They kind of sort of revisited that for Firepower. And I think that art's probably that same artist that they've used a couple different times. But like, sort of the line, like the action lines, you could call it,
right? To
use like comic book terminology, coming off of the eagle on Screaming for Vengeance, and there's that sort of you can see throughout album covers in their discography, and it really pops in ways that sometimes you look at like Dan Seagrave album covers, they're iconic, but like. It's all kind of the same jumbled mess of
it doesn't pop
a bunch of junk or gory stuff.
Sure.
I think Dan Seagrave is a bit more, doesn't do as much of the gore. It's more
just nightmare kind of
nightmarish piles of junk. Sort of a grungy H.R. Giger is how I would describe Dan Seagrave's art style. But this, their album covers, this one is the closest to like a Dan Seagrave sort of thing where it's, sort of the demonic motorcycle and all the fire. And there's a lot going on in the album cover. Their other stuff is a lot
symbolism
more,
and
a lot more clean in a lot of their other stuff. Also, it's a motorcycle and it's Rob Halford loves motorcycles.
Indefinitely. Yeah.
So of course there had to be a motorcycle.
Who doesn't love motorcycles?
Doctors.
Are you kidding?
It makes them a lot of money.
Psychopathic doctors who do it just for the cash.
Yeah. British doctors.
There you go. Yeah, they
get paid by the government. They don't have to encourage people to ride motorcycles to give them more money. These guys are still around, although it's the lineup of the band has changed many, 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 many times. Although the lineup that was on this album is pretty close to what is generally considered their kind of classic lineup and the lineup that was their most successful. You got Rob Halford on vocals, Glenn Tipton. Yeah, I couldn't read my thing because there was glare on it.
Sure.
Glenn Tipton on guitar, also on guitar, KK Downing. On bass, Ian Hill, who I believe has been the longest member of the band. None of these guys were founding members, as I found out.
Right.
They're like all the founding members of the band were only in it for like a year,
1969,
and then all of them left and got replaced by different people.
Sure.
And then you have Scott Travis. This was his first album on the drums. Before that was can't remember. I do not recall who their drummer before this was. I think it was
Pete Best.
I don't know.
No, it wasn't.
I think it was Dave something.
Lombardo.
Yeah, it was Dave Lombardo, who didn't go on to do anything special.
Nope.
But yeah, this was pretty close to their. Scott Travis has stayed with the band since then, basically. Not to be confused with Travis Scott, the rapper.
Or Travis Barker.
Or Travis Barker, also a drummer. That was my first thought when I was like,
Really?
I could make a Travis Barker joke, but there's literally a guy named Travis Scott, which is the reverse.
Sure.
So that's I considered it to be a better joke.
I had his McDonald's belly meal.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good, actually.
I mean, it's McDonald's. That shit's pumped full of so many like subliminal drugs, basically.
Hey, what's my order? Just grab whatever and throw in a fucking bucket. I don't care.
I don't care. It'll be fine.
It'll be great and delicious.
It's loaded with sodium and MSG. It'll be great. My brain will want more of it later, even though my immediate reaction will be, why?
There's French fries and a milkshake on my Big Mac, but I don't care.
Isn't like their milkshake mix? Can't they not legally call it ice cream or something?
I think now they can, but I think prior to like a certain year, I mean, I think the FDA came in and said like you have to call this what I know. When my wife was growing up in Canada, it said on the milkshake, because it used to be like in a sort of a pseudo styrofoam cup.
Yeah,
that would come in. It would say this packaging and its contents are made of an edible oil product.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just like all of this is the same. The styrofoam and the shake in it.
Styrofoam is edible.
Yeah, as edible as the shake.
Oh my god. But yeah, so Judas Priest. Oh boy.
Edible oil content.
I'm blaming all of this on not wearing headphones.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's just not reining us in. The headphones rein us in.
I don't
keep us fenced.
Because we never go.
No.
We never go off topic on other episodes. If you've never listened to another episode, just know this is completely, this
is weird. This is out of the pale. This is
absolutely not what we sound like normally, where we can't keep it together.
We have no idea.
Stick to a topic.
Judas Priest.
Judas Priest.
Judas Priest.
Judas Priest.
I will say it like that on the radio now and then. We'll come out of, you got another thing coming. Judas Priest.
Come on. I guess one thing, since we were talking a little bit about band history and whatnot.
Yeah.
Rob Halford is, I mean, other than being an amazing vocalist, kind of known as being probably the most prominent gay man in heavy metal.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of prominent gay men in heavy metal, generally speaking.
And the weird thing is, looking back on it in like junior high and high school and that area when I had Judas Priest posters on my wall that were cut out of magazines, thinking back on it, seeing the band standing in the leather, and there's Robert Halford and his big sunglasses and commander hat and his assless chaps
and everything.
And his studded leather collar, wow, hey, he's a man's man, dude. Yeah, look at that guy. And in retrospect, dude, you were dumb, kid. I mean, how did you not see him hiding in Splane?
He is a man's man.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, Judas Priest sort of defined like, this is heavy metal fashion.
Yeah. And it was great.
It just, that became like the spikes, the metal spikes and the studs and the leather just became heavy metal fashion. And that has, that's something that has stuck around to this day.
Sure.
Early in their career, they were dressing like blues rock bands, sort of a hippie dress, basically. Because that's what heavy metal was it came out of the blues rock scene. And, a lot of the bands of that era are bands that you would expect to see performing at Woodstock and stuff like that.
Sure.
As the scene that heavy metal grew out of eventually was that area. And so it was the late 60s, early 70s. That's what you dressed like if you were not a popular musician. But yeah, it was like, I think it was the late 70s when they adopted the leather look. It was something like 1978 where they picked that up, and it's just, they've run with it ever since. But yeah, Rob Halford came out in an MTV interview in 1998. I don't know if that was a televised
thing. 98?
Yeah, it was 1998.
Was that late?
I kind of always thought it was earlier too, but it was 1998 when he was no longer in the band.
I was going to say he's already left. Tim Ripper Owens was already there.
That was the period between 92 and 2003, I think.
Really? He was gone that long?
Yep.
10 years.
Yep. Over 10 years that he was not in Judas Priest.
He was in Fight. There was a band.
Yep. Yeah. That was like a thrash thing, wasn't it?
No, it was
kind of.
It was Judas Priesty. It was maybe a little thrashier, but no, yeah. It was along the same lines.
But and Rob Halford as well, alongside Bruce Dickinson and a lot of other earlier heavy metal vocalists. This sort of like semi-operatic style with lots of, and I guess King Diamond is you have to mention.
Sure.
King Diamond especially, and Rob Halford, the visual styles and the lyrical styles with King Diamond would go on, like that became black metal. Like that became first wave black metal and then evolved into second wave, but like Rob Halford's vocals especially were a big influence in like power metal and stuff like that. That's where you hear a lot of the high, clean singing and operatic stuff today is in power metal and symphonic metal and whatnot. So they're, obviously a hugely influential band. I don't think that's something that anybody doesn't know about Judas Priest.
Right.
Generally speaking, they sort of had a decline in popularity while Rob Halford was not in the band. I don't know how connected those things are.
Those two albums that Tim Ripper Owens was on are considered
they're not the best.
They're not the best.
But
that and Turbo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just Ram It Down. What I later read about Ram It Down was what everybody liked Ram It Down because it wasn't Turbo. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just they sort of had a decline in popularity throughout the 90s. And then they came back in the mid 2000s. And I remember because I was already working with you when Firepower came out and everyone was like, there's a new Judas Priest album and it fucking rocks. It's like these guys are how old and they're still making shit that's fucking sick as hell.
69 I think Rob is now?
Something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, he's nice. But yeah, it's they've been around since the beginning of heavy metal. They're one of the last bands standing, I think, because Black Sabbath is officially done at this point. I think Black Sabbath has been done for a couple of years now.
A couple of years, but it's only been a couple of years.
It hasn't been.
There've been a couple of albums,
but. Yeah, Judas Priest is kind of the last band standing. Generally speaking.
Maiden still standing?
Yeah, I think Iron Maiden is still around. But when did Iron Maiden get founded?
I think 77, 76.
Yeah, so they sort of came in a little bit later. I'm thinking of bands that were founded in 69.
Maybe 74 Iron Maiden got founded. But it was one of those things back in that era, you could be founded as a band and do new stuff and cool and great and not record shit for like a decade.
Yeah.
Your first album came out and...
Well, I think it's partially because it was probably, the market wasn't as saturated. And also I think it was probably easier to make something of a living just gigging.
Sure. And plus, and on the other hand, side of that card is that going into a studio was a rare and expensive thing.
It was much more expensive to record an album and not as necessary.
Right.
To make money as a band. You could just travel around and perform at the same 10 bars and make rent. Doesn't that sound like the fucking dream?
That would be awesome.
Get college for the price of a McChicken and house for the price of a Big Mac and a milkshake. Slightly more expensive.
Back to McDonald's.
We're back to McDonald's.
All right.
Well, because there's always that tweet which is like, how did boomers get college for the price of a McChicken and still end up the dumbest fucking people in the universe? I like that tweet. But anyway, does this slap?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Duh. This slaps so much that a mere 8 years later, a little fella named Chuck Schuldiner decided to cover the title track as part of a Death album. And the Death cover is fucking awesome. of the death cover of Painkiller is really, really good. And it's all like Chuck Schuldiner does the vocals pretty faithfully as a guy who didn't do clean vocals.
No, I mean, he did. Did you ever hear Control Denied? You ever listen to that band at all?
I've not. Actually, no, I think I listened to it a little bit, but I'm not recalling.
You should give it more of a spin because, I mean, and it actually...
It was more of Chuck doing singing. That sort of stuff and doing some more melodic stuff.
Kind of prog rock kind of...
Yeah.
And it was actually really good. I mean,
I should give that more of a shot. At some point, we'll talk about the new Liquid Tension Experiment album as well. Not next week. I have something different in mind for next week. Also,
do you know who started out as a Judas Priest cover band, right?
No.
Back in the early 1980s, 4 guys from... what's the name of the Slayer? I'm talking about Slayer.
Okay. Well, that's where the Ripper came from. Jeff, what the fuck is the guy who replaced I'm not remembering his nickname.
Tim the Ripper Owens?
Tim the Ripper Owens.
Yeah.
He started out not in Slayer, but he played in a Judas Priest cover band.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Called
and I think
British Steel.
That's where the movie Rockstar came from, I think.
Is the idea they picked a guy out of the crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
cover band.
That's what he did. He was in a Judas Priest cover band called British Steel, and ended up in the band. It's just kind of sucks for him that people don't remember his era of the band that fondly. Right. It's kind of like there are people who really like the Dio period of Black Sabbath, but I think in general that era kind of gets forgotten about.
It was very good
because it's Ronnie James Dio, and it's Ronnie James Dio and Black Sabbath. It's 2 flavors that taste great and taste good together,
dude. Even the Ian Gillan era of Black Sabbath was fucking awesome.
It's Sabbath, of course. It's going to be good.
You know Ian Gillan from Deep Purple.
Yes,
Ian Gillan, not Gillian. Ian Gillan, Gillian. Ian Gillan,
not related to Gillian Jacobs,
right?
Wait, is that a porn star?
No, she was on Community, the TV show. Right.
I'm thinking of fucking Scully. What's her name?
Oh, Gillian Anderson.
Gillian Anderson.
Yeah.
There are too many Jillians. How many Jillians are there? I feel like there's a porn star.
You know how many there are?
A Jillian. I just noticed. So the beer that I got is called Havoc Machine because I saw it and was like, that sounds like a Judas Priest song.
Sure.
It's made by the Surly Brewing Company.
Yes.
It's a pretty good sort of very hoppy.
I like Surly beer. Yeah. Surly beer.
Also, I didn't notice that they have the Michael Moorcock chaos symbol is the logo behind the text there, which was appropriated by Games Workshop for Warhammer.
Sure,
but it became if you're doing anything fantasy and need a symbol to describe chaos, this is what you do. It's the arrows pointing in every direction.
What you're talking about is not related to what I'm about to say, but reminds me. My son told me something today that sort of was a little bit of a jab in the heart.
Okay.
He says, it's weird, Dad. You've been playing video games a lot longer than I've been alive. I'm way better at them than you are. As today, he actually got to the Marauder
and Doom Eternal. Yeah,
he got there and he's playing him like, careful, it's gonna turn green. Hit him when he turns green. He's like, shut up, Dad. I got it. Yeah.
Does he know to like weapon swap and stuff? He probably doesn't.
He's made it to the Marauder.
Yeah,
and he's not playing it on.
I'm too young to die.
He's playing it on. Give me.
Well, the way to make the Marauder easy is to it's easier to do on PC than console, but basically hot swap between Super Shotgun and the Ballista. You could also use the Ice Bomb on him once you've stunned him, and then hit him with the full auto upgrade for the shotgun.
So once you
just
get him
to sort of embarrass him. Yeah. I also don't like that got added in an update after I think when you get the Ancient Gods Part 1 or something like that.
That's kind of silly.
That I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't care for that at all. I think you can turn it off, actually. I might want next time I play Doom Eternal, I'm going to go into my settings and turn it off because I don't care for the sound effect that it makes to tell you like, this dude's stunned. It's like, dude, I've been playing this since release. I know when he's fucking stunned. I don't need you to hold my hand. Although the last time I played Doom Eternal, I wanted to punch my monitor a lot.
That was me earlier today, and that's why my son said, "Hey,
you're
Dad."
Pretty bad at video games."
Yeah.
And
he kept yelling stuff at me. He was actually yelling at the top of his voice too.
it's like, why aren't you doing this?
Yeah, sticky bombs.
He was.
You're not out of sticky bombs.
He has turned into he is Kratos. You are Atreus. It's going. Do not be sorry. Be better.
God, I don't know where to go in here. The direction of demons.
Take us in the direction of demons, boy. Cover your eyes, boy. But I mean, that's just what happens when when you're young. I imagine, although I was pretty bad at video games when I was a kid, I think I just didn't like. I don't know why I didn't really understand like the language of video games until I was older. Of like of how to. I didn't have a good grasp of game mechanics. I just sort of bumbled my way through every video game I played until I was like 17, and it was like, oh, this is how it's supposed to work.
Sure.
Like these are the mechanics of the game. This is how it functions.
You know, it was actually recently, like in the last couple of years, that it sort of collected into my brain that way, where I would play, like, say, the Doom, not the original Doom, but like Doom 2016.
Yeah.
I would go through just using the super shotgun. I'm like, I can't get past these fucking levels. It's like, dude,
you're supposed to switch your weapons.
You got this huge arsenal, and this is,
You have a billion different weapons. Or it's like people who, and to be fair to them, Doom Eternal kind of shows you how to use the chainsaw once, but doesn't really tell you like, oh, the fuel recharges every minute or so, and like
does it really?
Yeah, the game is designed for you to be. You
don't actually have to pick up the gas cans.
No, the game. In fact, like
I was wondering why I was able to do it so much.
In fact, you like. Basically, the game is designed for you to be using the shotgun, the chainsaw, like twice every encounter, basically. At least.
Yeah.
And also, like Doom 2016, you could get 5 gas cans and like chainsaw Mancubus or whatever.
Sure.
It's never worth it to get all 3 of them and chainsaw a big thing. It's never worth it in Doom Eternal. I don't even know why they bother giving you multiple levels. It's like, no, you're going to go and find a zombie to do it on.
Right. You're fighting the Mancubus. Oh, look, it's an unwilling,
I don't know if you can even chainsaw the Mancubus in Doom Eternal. I don't think you can.
I've never seen it done. I've never seen it either that or the
Cacodemons?
No.
Oh, the Arachnotron.
The Arachnotron, yeah.
I don't don't think you can do that. But like you could chainsaw a Baron of Hell in 2016.
Yeah.
If you wanted in 2016, the chainsaw's utility was an instant kill and also you get ammo. In Doom Eternal, the utility is you get ammo.
Right.
Like it's not meant to be there to give you an instant kill. It's meant to be there as like, hey, you're going to run out of ammo a lot.
Oh shit!
Because we made this game much harder.
It is insane. I've been playing over the last few days, and my eyes are a little bit drier than.
It's a very intense and like it feels athletic, even though you're just sitting on your ass.
Right.
It feels like you're really doing something.
Like last night,
when it works, when you're not constantly getting caught on the fucking geometry of the ground, and pinned down by a bunch of demons and ripped to pieces.
It's all right. Calm down.
Okay.
Last night I was playing. I don't know if you noticed last night, but it was a little bit drippy in town.
It was
here.
it was a little wet.
But I mean,
a little moist.
Yeah, a little moist. So, it was, but I mean, because it wasn't raining or anything. It just felt sweaty, and we have central air.
Yeah.
But the people who built our house like did it as fast as they could with little attention to detail as possible.
Yeah.
So their central air is just sitting on the grass outside. They didn't put a concrete slab down for it to rest on and be level. They just said, "Here, stick a hose in the house and attach it to this thing goes whir outside." And so if we try using our central air and it has to work too hard, it will freeze. It will just turn into a big block of ice.
I see.
Because it's at an angle like this. Okay. And that's the reason you have to have them level.
Yeah.
So last night, it's like 300% humidity and 80 degrees in our house. Every window is open. And I actually worked up a sweat killing demons.
Yeah. I'm working up a sweat right now. I should have left my air conditioning on. It's getting hot in here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't take off all my clothes.
Thank you. That song did pop in my head. I am getting so hot.
Score high.
Yeah.
The score I looked around. People love this album. It's Painkiller. What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
I
didn't think there was enough context.
High 80s ish.
Yeah.
Like right. if you are looking for someone like, what do people think about Painkiller? Do people recommend Painkiller? Yeah. The answer is yes, they do. Course. If they were doctors, they'd be irresponsible recommending these painkillers to you.
This would be an overdose of painkillers.
Yeah, this is the doctor who's not thinking and is just giving you a prescription for Oxy because fuck it. Because they have something they want to go do.
Right.
They have a tea time to make and they're just like, I'm going to prescribe you this opiate.
Fuck it. You like weed?
See, that's a little bit better than prescribing opiates to somebody.
You can kill yourself on opiates.
It's pretty hard to overdose on weed.
No, but you can take weed and overdose on Doritos. I've kind of done that before.
Yeah, that happens to people sometimes. Mm-hmm. I guess obviously, of course, there's always people who are like, oh, I know the guy who got completely burned out on weed and stuff. Yeah, that happens to some people, whatever.
Sure. Well, that's anything.
Weed has destroyed far fewer lives than heroin.
And definitely alcohol.
And that as well. Mm-hmm. Anyway, off our little soapbox about marijuana and back to Judas Priest. It's the headphones, people.
It is.
Headphones.
Or the
what's your favorite song?
Oh, the title track is fucking fantastic.
The title track is great. I didn't put that simply because I was like,
that would be the easy target.
That's too easy.
I'm trying to think. I mean, the song that's actually different is
it's one of the last ones.
It's A Touch of Evil.
A Touch of Evil, yes.
Touch of Evil is
different. Also, another one that's fairly different. Living Bad Dreams.
Oh, Living Bad Dreams, yeah. All
different.
Guns Blazing is great. The second track.
All Guns Blazing is really good. I wrote down my favorite as Nightcrawler.
Oh, great song.
I really like Nightcrawler. I also really like Between the Hammer and the Anvil.
Yes.
Both of those are really fucking sick.
You have a hard time finding a bad track on this.
Yeah, there's not a bad track.
Yeah.
I would say there is not a bad track. This is all fucking bangers. Wall-to-wall bangers right here.
And MASH.
And MASH. It's very British. Bangers and MASH, that's a British thing, right?
It is.
Okay. It's like tea and crumpets. I like how tea and crumpets. Oh, it sounds so fancy, and then bangers and mash.
Yeah,
it's working upper class and working class right there.
Sausage and potatoes, and it doesn't matter who you are in Great Britain. Tea and crumpets, yes. Also bangers. And
also mash. Bangers.
Yeah,
yeah. That's kind of how it goes. Fish and chips.
Sure.
Fish and chips is just a great combo as well.
I mean, that's what you got.
People say that British food sucks.
It's not. Have you ever had an English breakfast, like a real full English breakfast?
It's fucking great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge blood pudding guy, but
maybe I haven't had the blood pudding, but it's the other pieces of that
you got
puzzle.
The baked beans in there, the egg, lots of bacon, sausage.
No, they know how to do it. It's just it's not fancy.
It's not fancy.
It's all food that's bland looking and great tasting.
Yeah, it's bland looking and great tasting. And if you'll notice, there's not a thing on there that doesn't say it's okay. Your hangover will go away. That's what the entire menu is.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I feel like that's just European food in general. People think Americans drink a lot. Europeans are just better at hiding how much they're all alcoholics.
Right. They're more even with their alcoholism. Yeah. They're always Americans a little bit drunk.
Yeah, Americans binge drink.
Right.
Europeans are always drunk.
Right.
I think that's how it goes. The alcohol consumption is I feel like much steadier. What medal are you bestowing upon this? Like God damn it! Like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca.
Oh, what was that?
Like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca. At the end of the film, The Rise of Skywalker, the greatest film of our generation. The best Star Wars movie ever made is The Rise of Skywalker. It's a gold.
It's a gold, yeah.
It's a gold. It's a gold. The fuck do you want? What do you want from us? Get out of here.
Did I see Rise of Skywalker on an airplane and then didn't see the end and then didn't care to?
Maybe you saw it. I don't know. Did you see Maz Kanata giving Chewbacca a medal?
No, I just saw there was, but now all of a sudden, Rey.
Did Emperor Palpatine laugh maniacally and shoot a bunch of lightning up in the air?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the movie.
It was Ray and what's his name?
Deborah.
What?
Ray Romano.
No, yeah.
You know, Deborah.
Come on. It was Ray Romano and
Ben Solo, Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next week, a complete surprise that popped into my Spotify feed. I don't know what day it came out, but a complete surprise that I saw on Sunday as I was driving down to my parents' place before I got soaked in swamp water was And Again Into the Light by Panopticon.
New Panopticon album?
I think you would call it a full album, yes.
Wow. I listened how many tracks?
Yeah, I think it was 10-ish, so I think it was a full album. But and there's a couple pretty long ones on there, so I don't know what the ratio is as far as bluegrass to metal goes.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know if this is meant to be a full album or if it's just something that he just was working on or what. But I was listening. I need to listen to it through my headphones, through a good sound system, because listening to it in my car, I was like, ugh, the production's a little muddy. It's a little. So I don't know.
I'm worried about that with my new car.
I don't know how much time he put into this.
The sound system, I need to work on the speakers in there.
Yeah.
There's mine coming through the front.
Mine in my car is not particularly good. So that's next week.
Hey, Panopticon.
Till then,
I love Panopticon.
Hit up our social media pages, Twitter, Facebook. If you want to listen on your browser, we post episode links there. Otherwise, on your phone, find us on your podcast app in your iOS device, or you can find us on Libsyn's, the podcast source, if you have an Android like I do. Thank you very much for listening to this weird episode of the Browns Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations. Punk.